Ready for some yoga? Um, okay, so I don't think, I'm trying to see who else here. I think Ruth, you might have been the only one who heard me talk about this yesterday. We're going to work a little bit today with some heart opening. And I just wanted to, I'm reading this fabulous book right now. I highly recommend it. It's called Radical Wholeness, and by Philip Shepard. And it's talking a lot about the senses of well, that's not what the book is about, but it's the part I'm in the book, about the senses of the body and how we over rely on our top five senses. And we are not really taught well how to rely on a lot of deep inner wisdom, intuition, other forms of resource that we have within us that can give us a lot of input on how we are moment by moment, how our health is, how our well-being in our mind, our emotional states, because we rely so heavily on these five senses. And yesterday, the practice, we did a lot around balance. And today I want to work with the sense of spaciousness, that when we cultivate a sense of spaciousness internally, I mean, think about what it feels like when you walk into a room that is decluttered, that has just that feeling of open space. Maybe it's the blue sky that you see, our beautiful Colorado big sky, that sense of openness that you can feel in lots of different ways, whether it's walking to a room, being on a tight trail and getting into an open space. It lends itself to a really beautiful sensation in the body, even when we experience it from the outside. And if we can cultivate that kind of spaciousness on the inside, imagine what is possible to sense if there's room within us. And a lot of times, when we are under strain or stress, this starts to, we start to either collapse our heart or tighten or, compress in some way, whether it's muscular contraction, tension patterns, whether it's a collapsed spine and a sunk heart, whether it's breath that kind of lives right here and doesn't go, big and expansive in the body. There's lots of ways in which we shrink our internal space out of stress or fear or strain or, fill in the blank of what causes us to do that. So in our practice today, I want you to visualize that you are think of your favorite nature spot that's very open, whether it's a meadow or a prairie or a big open sky or an expanse of water or whatever it is that makes you feel really have that connection to a sense of spaciousness. I want you to imagine that you have that inside of you, that we're not all smushed and crammed up like we actually are, like we're pretty snug up in our build. But what would it feel like if you allowed for some spaciousness to happen? So in our chest opening, back bending practice that we're going to do today, it's going to be fairly gentle. We're not going to do anything super extreme, but just that sense of cultivating spaciousness. So one thing I want to say just briefly about back bends, a lot of times when we feel like we're slumped, right, we immediately do this, right? We squeeze our shoulder blades, we pop our chest out, we kind of puff out our feathers in the front, and we get real squeezy in the back, which is not necessarily a bad thing because those muscles in the back of our shoulders could use a little contraction sometimes. So it's not that it's, that you shouldn't be active in the back body. But a lot of times we replace one level of tension for another level of tension. And what I would love for you to feel is this sense of vulnerability that comes with heart opening, where there's softness and spaciousness instead of just replacing one tight band for another tight band. So if you tend to pendulum swing from collapse to a compressed opening, let's try to think about cultivating that in a little bit softer way through your practice today. So go ahead and close your eyes and sit up straight and tall and just take a moment to be here now. Are you comfortable in your body? Do you need to stand up or lie down? Do you need to have more support underneath you? Are you supported in just the right way where you feel that deep connection? So if you were here yesterday, this sense of yielding and grounding into the earth, a sense of connection. And from there, can you feel the lift off the earth? And it's, once again, we're not going into this collapse and prop. We're not sinking between these two forces, but finding something right in the middle where we can surrender into the earth and receive what the earth has to give back to us. So feel the yielding right here. Come into the breath and see if you can let the breath start to melt all the tight places and create some space, some inner space. So let the breath be slow enough where you're not, forcing and pushing space in the body, but just gently swirling space. And same on the exhales. Maybe if you're feeling anxious at all this morning, you can try some mouth exhales out through some pursed lips, nice and slow, making your exhales a little longer than your inhales. Just start to check in with how your breath is today. Is it choppy? Is it smooth? Is it long? Is it short? Is it gripped? Are you having a hard time letting the diaphragm be free? Are you able to let the breath move down into the base of your lungs? Or is it high, kind of up in your throat and upper chest? Are the muscles that help your breathing, your traps and the muscles around your neck, are they doing more than they need to? Can you rest them? Feeling the shoulder blades have a sense of slide, like going down a water slide. So that slide down your back, there's a lot of glide to them. They don't get stuck on the ribs. And the natural scaption of, shoulder blades down and a gentle hug of the shoulder blades toward the ribs, just gentle. Let this be what helps the heart open without compression or force. Soften the face, let go of any tension you feel. So especially if you're one to hold a lot of tension in your skull, melt the bones. Imagine you are still a baby and your fontanelles are open and spacious, and the fissures between your skull bones have lots of room. Melt through the base of your skull. Feel where your head kind of balances on your spine and see if you can find the effortless place. Melt through your jaw and your tongue. Relax in your sinuses, your nose, even deep in your eyes, behind your eyes. All the little nooks and crannies where you tighten up and compress. Bring space, wide open space. Remember your blue sky, your big water, your big field. And then move a little more broadly and feel the fullness of you. Big breaths, letting your breaths travel to the pelvis. The exhales are easy and long. A sense of effortless holding of the spine where there's no need to ramrod yourself upward against gravity. All right, let's place the palms together at your heart. And if we're having an intention around spaciousness, what do you need space for? What needs more space in your mind? Do you need space between impulse and reaction so that there's wisdom in response? Do you need space in your physical body? Do you need space to let emotions be? What do you need space for? And then let's release the hands and come onto our back. So sometimes when we lie down, there's even more room for space. So now our spine isn't compressed in the same way by gravity. So take your time to enjoy your space on the floor. It always makes me want to yawn whenever I have my arms up over my head. So just notice what happens to you. Do you want to have your arms overhead? Do you want to have them down at your sides? Just befriend yourself. Welcome yourself into your practice. Feel that sense of yielding. Have a moment where you can let your whole body fall into the earth. Give yourself over, receive back. So be in relationship with the ground. And then as you're ready, stretch your arms overhead. Find some length. Stretch the right side a little longer. Stretch the left side a little longer. Open up the side windows of the body. Let some sun shine out between your ribs, between the space between your ribs and your pelvis. So let your hips move. Stretch the heel, one, then the other. And then as you're ready, bring your knees into your chest and give yourself a little hug. And rock around a little bit. Sway from side to side if it feels good. How's your back today? How are your hips? How are your knees? Are there places that feel tight that you need to bring space to? Are you able to be compassionate toward yourself in the ways that you are tight and compressed? We don't want to add more tension onto tension because we're trying so desperately hard to open. So be patient and gentle. So let's circle the knees. Okay, circling one way a few times. And then circling another way a few times. Just feeling that sense of release across your sacrum. And then let's bring our knees up toward our chest and then bring them out to the side. So swing on any trajectory that feels good to allow the knees to move away from the midline and back in. So if you like to be semicircles or circles or straight lines, just whatever allows for some range of motion in the hip joints. And when we do this bilaterally, notice, do you have some differences left and right? So pay attention to how the patterns of your body are. And then let's put our feet down onto the ground, feet hip width apart, arms out to the side. Let's drop our knees left and then drop them right. And after a couple times, if you want to add the arms in opposition, so when knees go left, stretch your right arm up overhead, feel the space from your pelvis to your rib cage open. It's hard to stretch your transverse abdominis muscle, so this is a great way to just begin opening that corset muscle that is so protective of the spine when we're doing back bending stuff. All right, and then let's go ahead and bring our knees back into the chest. Keep your right knee, stretch your left leg long on the floor, wiggle out your ankles, roll and feel your calves, your shins, the peroneal muscles on the sides of your calf. Feel your feet, wiggle out your toes, get your spidey senses on the bottom of your feet, enjoy bare feet. And then go ahead and change sides. Left knee into the chest, right leg long on the floor. Give some compression. And notice, where's your knee happiest? Is it close to the midline? Do you need to bring your knee out to the side a little bit more for comfort in the hip joint? Keep moving the ankles and the toes, waking up the lower legs. And then release that knee. Stretch your arms and legs wide like a starfish on the floor. Navel stretching to your edges, your feet, your hands, your crown, your tail. Then exhale, tuck your chin up, knees into your chest. Feel the compression. Breathe all the way out. Inhale, feel the space. Open your body. Spread from your navel to your 6 limbs, head, tail, arms, legs. Exhale, knees in. Compress in. Bring your limbs back home to the center. One more time. It's like a lying down, big body, full cat-cow. Open things up. Exhale, close things up. And then let's roll over onto our side and come up onto our hands and our knees. Okay, so find your way. So because we're going to be working with some chest opening, we want to make sure our spine is in a happy place today. So let's start moving some cat-cows, arching, lifting the tail, exhale, rounding, head and tail drop. See what it feels like to have the first rounds just be about the vertebrae themselves. Ripple through your spine if you want. Notice where space naturally happens, where maybe some tightness is. And then after a couple rounds, add in some core strength to it. So as you inhale, feel the back body strengthen, the rhomboids a little bit. And then as you exhale, navel to spine, feel that shrinky-dink compression through your core. One more time, feeling a sense of length in the front body. Exhale, feel a sense of compression. Ribs hug in, everything's finding its way toward the middle. And then come to a flat back. Keep breathing. Start moving your body around. So if you like to do some pelvic circles, you can imagine you have a paintbrush on your tailbone and you're drawing some circles on the wall behind you. Try to make your circles big. This is really good to loosen the low back, all the ligaments that connect your vertebrae to your pelvis. Make sure you go the other direction. Maybe you're not wanting to do circles. Maybe you'd rather sway and just drop the hips from one side to the other. Maybe you have your own little pattern of movement that just feels so good to wake up the spine. So find what you're finding. As you start to explore different places, notice where your shoulder blades are. So kind of travel your awareness back up into the upper body and just notice how your shoulder blades slide and glide and relate to the rib cage. How's your head relating to your spine? Just take some time to just explore a sensation. And then when you're ready, curl your toes under. Stretch back towards child's pose on curled under toes. So you won't go very far probably. But just one more time, wake up your bare feet, especially if you're a habitual shoe wearer. Give yourself some room. And then come back up. Stretch your feet flat now, child's pose. Knees go where you want them to be, close or far. Depending on how your knees are, you may not be able to go into such deep flexion, in which case just travel forward a little bit and go back as far as you can. Take the hands over to the left side of the mat. Open up the side windows of the right body again. See if you can shine some light from the center out through the gaps between your ribs. Stretch those little spaces. Relax the base of your skull. Remember all the space in your skull bones. Soften them like they're loose tectonic plates that can shift and move. And walk the hands over the other way, inching to the right. Open the left ribs. Find some bright light coming out, coming in. Take some deep breaths here. Feel some weight come down into the pelvis. All right, and then come back to center. Come up onto all fours again. And we're going to take a twist. Inhale, lift your right arm up in the air. Exhale and slide that shoulder down. Enjoy what this does. There's some compression into the breath in the twist. And see if you can use this like squeezing out a sponge in your sink. Deep breath in, feel the full exhale. Inhale, reach that arm all the way back up to the sky. Place the hand down onto the ground and change sides. Arm up, exhale and slide that arm down. Find your breath. Deep breath in, deep breath away. Keep feeling the compression, that sense of squeeze that happens through the breath. And then inhale and come all the way back up onto all fours. Find your way to dog pose when you're ready. Curl the toes under, spread out your feet, spread out your hands. Start to pedal your feet and enjoy it. So this is the first big, huge, long pose in your body. So enjoy all the room you're creating. Let the femur bones reach back toward the wall behind you, helping your spine grow. Notice what the bottom of your feet feel like. Spread the bones out. Spread the bones of your hands. See if you can spread your hamstrings. See what it feels like to relax those plates in your skull again. Relax your brain against your forehead. Let it rest. The eyes are soft. The jaw is soft. How are you holding space in your shoulders? Are you collapsed? Can you have a little bit of loft underneath your armpits? Can you hug your hands toward each other on the mat to give some structural support through your torso? Take some deep breaths in and away. And then walk your feet forward.
Come into Uttanasana. Bend your knees as much as you want. Let the body move. So if you want to wiggle your spine or your head or wag your tail, let any kinks out. Inhale for a halfway lift. You can hold the tops of your thighs or your shins or blocks. Exhale and melt back down. Let's do that one more time. Big breath in, long spine, lots of space here, soft knees. Exhale and melt back down. Push off your feet. Let's rise all the way up, arms to the sky. Take a deep breath. And as you're ready, let's open our arms out. And you can decide, especially if you have some shoulder issues going on, maybe your arms need to be down here. So find what's free in your body and open up to that. And then release your hands. Bring your hands to your heart. Let's just take a moment to find our yielding. So if that's a new term to you, it's this balance point between collapsing the body, and then propping the body, kind of pushing off the floor, trying to levitate. Find something right in the middle where we give ourselves to the earth, our joints are free, our knees are soft. We have a sense of the breath traveling to the pelvic floor, even to the bottom of the feet. Can you imagine that the bottom of your feet have diaphragms? And they move with the breath as well, that they're receiving the breath all the way down to the bottom of your feet. Give that breath to the earth. Feel the rebound through the body, up through the spine. So have that sense of root to rise. It took me forever to figure out what that meant in a yoga class when the teacher would say root to rise. I'm like, I don't understand. And that's really what it is this. It's not a push-pull. It's not a ground yourself down and lift yourself up. It's a yielding. It's a relationship with the earth. Inhale, reach the arms to the sky. See what it feels like to cactus your arms open. Go in a comfortable place for your shoulders. So that might mean your elbows need to come forward a little bit. Find the open chest. Draw the shoulder blades toward each other. Wake up some of those muscles. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale and fold. Interlace your hands behind your back. If they can lift off your spine, great. If they go 1 inch off your back, great. Relax the base of your skull, let your knees bend a lot. Feel the heads of the arm bones, reach back. The shoulder blades are moving toward each other a bit. And then relax the arms. Grab onto your elbows and let the weight of holding the outer elbows give some length to the rib cage and the spine, melting toward the floor. Inhale for a halfway lift. The legs get straighter, the spine gets straighter. Exhale and melt back down. If you have blocks and you want to use them, now's a good time to grab them. Come into a lunge. So take your left foot back, your right foot is forward on your mat. Hands can be on the floor, hands can be on your knee, hands can be on blocks. Start to move here. Straightening your front leg a little bit. It doesn't have to go all the way straight. Tuck the chin, feel the back line of the body open. Breathe as you do this. If you like to inhale or exhale when you bend your knee, either way, just make sure your breath is flowing through you, creating some space in the back line of the body. Imagine the big open sky. See what feels good here. Where are you giving yourself some room? Is your breath able to be spacious? All right, and then come to a lunge. Reach your heart forward. Back foot comes forward. Inhale for a halfway lift. Sit bones lift. Backs of the legs are opening. Exhale and release. The right foot comes back. Left foot is forward, lunging here. And let's start to square the hips. Drop the head. Bend the knee. Lift the heart. Widen the collarbones. So just going back and forth between the lunge and the straight legs with the hips square the whole way through. What are you enjoying in the body right now? What feels good? Can you befriend yourself? Part of creating spaciousness is getting to know your body, the inner space, that interoception, the capacity to feel your inner body and enjoy your inner body. And that lends itself to freedom in the body in and of itself. Okay, heart is forward. Come into a steadiness in your lunge. Let's take our hands onto the floor and step back to a plank. And so now when we have something like this where we're really structurally supporting ourselves, we need strength. So how do you balance strength and spaciousness? The breath is the gateway to find that discovery. See if you can hug toward the midline, but also expand away as you inhale. What's roomy? Find something roomy in the body. Focus there and expand there. All right, put your knees down. Heads of the arm bones come last toward the floor. Take a deep breath in. Very low cobra. Don't go high. Just test the waters of what arching your back feels like. Come back down. Take your forearms out in front of you. Turn your forearms on a slight angle. The elbows are in front of the shoulders a bit. Extend the heart. See what it feels like to stretch the legs. Find the length of the front body. Feel the collarbones broaden. And then exhale and melt down. And just as a little reminder of how to protect your back in back bending poses, put your forehead on your hands for a moment and take a breath and let your belly completely fall into the earth. So no core support. Try to release that transverse abdominis and lift your right leg up in the air with no core support. So notice you can probably lift your leg pretty high, but there's probably a fair amount of compression in the lumbar spine. Release that back down. Now engage. Cinch your waist. So find that sense of shrinking, wrapping that tightness around your core. So it's a full 360, like a cylinder around your core. Find your breath and now lift your leg up without losing that strength. Probably your leg can go half the distance, but your low back is no longer falling and compressing and sinking. Now notice when your leg is here, are you able to breathe? So see if you can find that balance between structural support and spaciousness. It's hard, especially if you're a type A personality that's like, I'm just gonna strengthen and hug and do. It's harder sometimes to find the spaciousness. Now, if you're the type of person that doesn't hug well, doesn't strengthen well, then maybe your work is to lean into the strength. So you know yourself. Go ahead and relax that foot down. Let's do the same thing on the second side. So fall into the earth, let the belly relax. Don't use any structural support and lift the leg. So lift however's comfortable. Notice how high you go. Notice the compression in your back. Maybe the pinch in your sacroiliac joints. Let that go since it's not a healthy movement. Let's not stay long. Take a deep breath in. As you exhale, shrink wrap your core. So connect into the spine around the full 360 and then lift your leg up from there. So there's not much you can do, right? You're restricted in your movement, but this is a healthy, good thing to stabilize around your lumbar spine and your sacroiliac joints. Breathe here. What is spacious? And then let's go ahead and relax. Pick up your feet, rock left and right. See what it feels like to just ease your back a little bit. And then as you're ready, come up on 12 fours. Maybe you want to do some sways or some circles or some cat-cow. Just nourish your back. That, we did a little bit of an unhealthy thing, lifting your legs super high like that. So just make sure you're bringing yourself back to harmony and then find your way to dog pose. Feel the external rotation of your upper arm bones. So swing your triceps under, roll the biceps up. Feel what this does to the shoulder blades, and then hug the hands toward each other on the mat. So there's a lot of structural support around the shoulders, but it doesn't have to be locked out. So if you feel locked out, where's your breath? Take your breath into the spaciousness, loosen some joints in your elbows and shoulders just a bit. Find the length through your spine. Deep breath in and away. Let's walk our feet forward. Touch your toes together. Unless you want to block between your thighs for chair pose, which you can totally do. Squat down, arms come back behind you. We're going to move through this a little bit. So inhale, chair pose, arms come up. Exhale, breath out, arms come down. A couple times. Inhale. If your shoulders don't like arms overhead, put your hands together or your hands out. Exhale down. Inhale, come back up. This time we're going to stay. So find a place that's happy for your shoulders. Draw the knees back into the hips. See if you can remember those abdominal muscles that we were using on the floor. Hug around your spine. Feel that there's a back bend in your upper back. And see if you can cultivate this without pushing your chest forward. See if you can melt the sternum just down a little bit. So there's a little bit of softness living in the chair pose. Knees are back, weight is in the heels. How is your breath? Deep inhale, and you can change your arms to find this. If spaciousness is gone, change something. And then inhale, come up onto your toes, have a little bit of balance, stretch and lengthen. Exhale, heels down, fold in half. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale and melt back down. Step your left foot back, come into a lunge. Okay. Find your ground. Yield into the earth. Before you come up, find your relationship with the earth. Then when you're ready, rise up. So try to find the yielding here where we're getting to the earth and coming out of the earth all at once. So we're not just pulling ourselves up. We're lifting from the feet up into the hands. Your arms can go anywhere you want. So if you have shoulder issues, change something. If you need to come out of the lunge a little bit, change something. Feel the openness through the hip flexors of the back leg. If your arms are able to be up overhead, grab onto the left wrist. Don't come over real far. Think more up, just extending through the hip flexors in the body. Keep breathing. And then come back. Go ahead and release the hands down to the floor. Lift that leg all the way into the air. Three-legged dog with your right leg up. Pulse your leg a couple times in the air. Feel the glutes engage, the hamstrings engage. And then as you're ready, stack the right hip over the left. Bend your knee if you want. Keep the leg straight if you want. Notice if the left side of your body collapsed. Lift under the armpit. Lift the femur bone up and back. Find your breath here. And then square the hips. Place that foot down onto the ground. We're going to go backwards through that. Left leg lifting up in the air. Pulse your foot in the air a few times. Feel the glutes and the hamstrings kick into gear. Lots of stability here. And then as you're ready, open that hip. Try not to let the right side of your body collapse. Lift the ribs under the armpit. Lift the femur bone up and back. Are you able to yield into the earth with the 3 points of contact that you have? Try to unlock your elbows and your knees so that you can find that yielding. Breathe into the spaciousness of the front of your left hip. And then square the hips again. Stretch that leg straight, bring your foot forward. Come into a lunge on this side. Before you come up, feel the earth, yield. Give yourself over, feel the earth give you something back. Come on up, arms can go where you want them to be. So there's so many choices of how to modify your practice for today, for what's in your body today, what's in your mind today. So notice, even here, do you tend to push? Do you have this tendency in the body to kind of push the ribs forward? And see if you can have a little bit of a melting of the heart where the sternum drops down just a smidge so that we're not having to puff up our feathers so much. See if the spaciousness comes from a softer place. Deep inhales, deep exhales. If your arms are over your head, see what it feels like to reach onto that arm and find the extension from the ribs, the bottom ribs lift up. Instead of just sinking over to the side, think extending. Square, hug into the midline with your inner thighs to help your balance. Spread out the bones of your feet. Can you feel the diaphragms in your feet through your breath? All right, come back. Find your way down, hands onto the ground, back foot comes forward. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale and melt back down. Push off your feet, come up to stand. If you have blocks, this is a nice time for them. We're gonna come into half splits. So right foot is on the floor, left leg's going to lift back. So straight, you wanna make sure that when you come into a posture like this, that we're not lifting our hip. We wanna keep our hips square for this. Stretch the legs straight back. Extend the spine. So if you don't have blocks and you're on the floor, it's okay if you're a little lower, but you can also grab some furniture and do this. Okay, so find whatever's working for your body. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, one-legged squat, tuck the knee behind the knee, curl in on yourself. Feel your abdominal strength. Inhale, stretch that back out. Exhale one more time, tuck in. Inhale, Expand, spaciousness. Place your foot down onto the ground. Halfway lift, extending the spine. Make sure your knees are not pushed back and locked. Exhale and melt and fold. Rise all the way up. Inhale, reach up. Maybe you want to lean back, maybe you don't. See if you can prevent yourself from pushing and crunching. Okay, you don't want to push the chest and crunch the back. Find the stability. Exhale and fold. Again, let's stand on our opposite leg. So standing on the left foot now. The hands are on support if you need them. The hips are square. Lengthen the spine. Use your glutes and your hamstring in the air to support you. Where is the spaciousness? Can you feel the yielding with your foot on the ground? Is the knee soft enough to yield? Is there a length in the spine? Is there a sense of spreading across your collarbones? And when you're ready, we're going to find some compression and extension and expansion. So as you exhale, curl in on yourself, knee behind knee, feel your core strength. Inhale, push into space, crown and tail and foot long. Exhale, tuck in. Inhale, stretch out. Okay, let's go ahead and put your foot down onto the ground. Inhale for a halfway lift, lots and lots of room. Exhale and melt. Fold in half. Take your left foot back, come into a lunge, plant your back heel down so your heel aligned or a little wider. Before we come up into Vira 1, yield into the earth. Give yourself over and then rise up. So arms can be out. There's ways for you to have a sense of expansion across your body with your arms down. You don't have to have the arms overhead to find the openness in this posture. So go where you go, lots of weight down into the back heel. Be very mindful to not hyperextend your back knee. See what it feels like to try to square the hips a little bit toward the front. Deep breaths in. Notice if you push your chest out, melt the sternum down, have the floating ribs soften into the body. Instead of pulling them into the body, melt your floating ribs into the body. Deep breaths here. Then when you're ready, turn your feet. We're going to open up into Virabhadrasana 2. Okay, so you might need to adjust your alignment of your feet. So heel to arch now. Inhale, arms up or in, whatever feels good. Exhale and come out. One more time. Hang out here. Same. Do you puff the chest to have the open heart in this posture? See if instead you can melt the heart a little bit and expand from a different place where the energy is more 360 instead of pushing the chest forward. Slide the hand down the leg. Inhale, lift that arm up. Find your breath. And then let's lay your elbow down. Stretch your heart open. Don't lift your arm over your head yet. Stretch across your collarbones. See if you can have the chest be broad and not collapsed and not pushed. Find the middle way. Find the yielding of the heart. Reach the arm up whenever you're ready. Find the yielding of the feet. Give yourself over to the earth. Rebound to the expanse in your body. All right, let's go ahead and come back up. Turn back to the front of your mat. Let's find dog pose again. Inner spiral your thighs. Hug your hands toward the midline. Take a deep full inhale and exhale. Let the head relax, the face melts, the jaw, the tongue, all the places that you tend to hold tension and strain. Consciously on the exhale, melt. Inhale, come forward into a plank. Steady yourself. Where is space? Try your elbows. Soften your elbows just the smidgiest of bits. See if that changes something. Then lock the elbows out and feel what shifts. Can you yield into the earth? This is a sense of spaciousness. Yielding is space. Give yourself to the earth. Receive from the earth. Put your knees down onto the ground. Head to the arm bones. Resist the floor. So we're coming down slow and steady. Now we get to do a bigger cobra pose. Remember your core support. So find it before you move. Engage through your core. Lift up, space in the low back. So much space in the low back. Exhale and melt back down. Come on up onto your knees. Have a little bit of swirling around, cat-cow, anything that feels good. Find your way to dog pose when your back is ready. Deep inhale, deep exhale, melting your face. Let the skin on your face melt. Let the jaw melt. Feel the length of the spine. Let the heart melt without sinking. So see what it feels like to keep the spine long and lifting the heart toward the pelvis, but there's softness there. So we can have spaciousness and stability all at once. We can, it's possible. Let's lift the left leg up in the air. Exhale and bring that foot forward, come into a lunge. Plant your back heel down onto the ground. Inhale and rise up. So arms can be anywhere you want them to be. And experiment, and instantly if you go up with your arms, see what it feels like to maybe not, to see if you can feel that your heart can be broad and spacious without pushing your chest forward and squeezing your back body. So melt into the spaciousness of your sternum and put your arms in a place that supports that space. So experiment. Where do you want your arms to be? What gives you the sense that you can be open and free without push and strain? And this is particularly helpful if you're a go-getter, if you're like, I got to do more. I have to, a human doing. Caitlin, I see you, a human doer instead of a human beer. Become the human beer in your heart. Breathe deeply, relax the shoulders down. Find your way and open yourself up. So turn to the side for Virabhadrasana 2, Warrior 2. Let's move here to give your hips a chance, okay? You can bring your hands together or up over your head. Exhale and come into the posture. Find your way. Now let's stay put. Now this is a big pose, right? There's strength, there's aliveness, there's stamina, there's breath and width in your body. Balance all of that warrior nature with softness. Yield into the earth. Melt the heart without collapse. Can you find just that sweet spot where the heart yields just like your feet are yielding? That you can feel expansive and free without compression and strain. Maybe your shoulders need to do something different to find that. Deep breaths in and away. And then as you're ready, slide the hand down, lift that arm up, open through your side, find the side window again. Deep breaths. Take a little thigh break if you want, and then as you're ready, place the elbow on your knee. Before you come with your arm overhead, which tends to, create a lot of tension across the side of the body, melt. Drop the shoulders away from the ears. Open across your collarbones. Feel the ribs turn. Take a deep breath. Feel the breath. Feel come into the diaphragms in the bottom of your feet. Yield into the earth. Once you're ready, find the length through the side without straining, without overdoing. Keep turning the chest, opening the heart. All right, and then as you're ready, come back up. Let's turn to the long edge of your mat for a moment. So feet turn forward, thigh bones back, release down. Maybe your arms want to be dog pose arms. Maybe your hands want to be underneath your head or shoulders. Find what feels comfortable for you. Let your legs rest a moment. Thigh bones back, shin bones forward. So we're not hyperextending our knees. What does it feel like to melt the heart here? Okay, turn toward the front of your mat and let's come into dog pose again. Lengthen through the sides of the body. Last active back bend we'll do, so come forward into a plank. Find your breath here. Find some stability and some softness. Shoulder blades move down the back and hug, but they're not so tight that you can't breathe. You can't feel slide and glide in the breath. And then let's put our knees down, slowly come to the floor with stability, and you get to choose your back bend here. So maybe you want to have your arms and legs wide and lifting everything up. Maybe you want to do locust pose. Maybe you want to do up dog pose. So choose something that allows you to find that you can open the heart, support your core along your spine, so there's spaciousness in the heart and the low back. Exhale and melt back down. Either windshield wiper your feet or come up onto all fours and do swirls through your spine. Come back to child's pose, whatever's working for you. Find the breath. All right, last dog pose. Come up, stretch through the spine. Hug toward the midline, inner thighs rolling back. And then walk your feet forward, come into Uttanasana. Fold in half, wag your tail, find freedom. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale and melt back down. Push off your feet, rise up. Find a little bit of a back bend here if it feels good in your body. Don't if it doesn't. And then round in. Before we come down onto the floor, bring your hands down and let's just have another moment of seeking the yield in the body. So notice when you seek the yield, is there more space? Is there more room within you? Do you have an inner sense of freedom when you lose the two differences? So if you're not sure, collapse your chest, lock your knees, just collapse and lock however you naturally would do. And then just do the opposite, prop yourself up, try to get off the floor, try to get 2 inches taller. Okay. And notice both of those actions, where is your breath? Where is the space inside your body? It's probably gone, right? So both, try both. The collapse, and collapse can look different ways. It doesn't have to just be the heart collapse. Collapse can be this, where you're just kind of leaning into one hip or pushing your pelvis forward, okay? The ways in which we lock ourselves. So try both the prop and the collapse and notice the breath and the spaciousness or lack thereof. And then find the yielding one more time. Soft joints, the knees are soft. We can sink into the earth and feel a rebound, like we're about to jump off the earth, but we're not actually going to jump. But that rebound through the body that gives you a zing, gives you energy up through you. So find both the release and the zing. And notice where the breath is. Can you breathe into the diaphragms of your feet? Do you have space? What would it feel like to try to orient the heart into this yielding space? So just play with what that feels like in your posture to find just the sweet spot where the heart is open and vulnerable and free and able to connect, that we're not in lockdown, and we're also not over trying to stay open. So find the sweet spot between collapse and prop in your heart itself. Connect that to the yielding in your feet. Notice your spaciousness. Feel like there's wind that can just travel, like open windows, curtains blowing, clear open room inside your body. And then however you want to, find your way down onto the floor. Okay, so I don't know what props people have, so I'm going to give a couple different options for you. We can do heart bench where if you have two blocks, you can do a heart bench where either you have a block this way, especially if you're kind of short, or this way, which is a more traditional way, and then another block one step higher underneath the base of your skull. If you have one block, you get to put the block either direction here, and you're going to put a blanket underneath your head. And if you have no blocks, and you have blankets, if you have two blankets, that's even better. You're going to roll them. So, and even if you don't have blocks, you can choose the blanket version if you want. So you get to do whatever you want. This is called reverse cashew, right? Or heart bench. And you want, now I don't have a third, here I have a pill. You can support underneath your head. I'm not one that needs that, so like I feel comfortable with my head back, but not everybody does. So you support however you want to support. So once you come into this supported back bend, either you can also do this with just one blanket and have it a little bit more pinpointy underneath the spot of the heart. So you get to decide, take any variation of a supported back bend. Those are just a couple of examples of what to try. You do you. So whatever you know. Lately, when I'm using one blanket, I don't roll it. I accordion fold it. So it's still narrow, but it's flat. That somehow is more comfortable lately for me. So whatever you're finding, blankets, blocks, anything you want to do, this is important to get comfortable. So mess around until you're feeling like your head is supported, until you feel like your chest is supported, your arms are in a comfortable place, so they can be down, out. You can even interlace your elbows and lift them over your head if you want something a little bit more active. So experiment with what feels really well. Your low back should be pretty neutral in this posture. So it shouldn't be an aggressive low back pose. So Lynn, this hopefully feels good in your back. So find whatever you're finding. Remember, your knees can bend or be straight. Just experiment, and then I'm going to stop talking and let you just breathe here. Remember the melting, the yielding, this soft, expansive spaciousness that we're reaching into instead of a push. So try not to lift away from the props. Let your body soften into the props. Deep, full breaths, both in and out. Hopefully your heart is your highest point. It's the peak of your body right now. What would it feel like if you just led right from here all day today, instead of leading from the head or leading from the hands? What if you led from the gut and from the heart? What if you led from a heart that was melted and vulnerable and soft, instead of forceful and assertive? Are your limbs resting, or are you holding them? All right, so let's find our way. You can stay. If you're like, no, this is really good for me, then stay. Okay? But if you're ready to make a change, you're just going to stretch your back a little bit. So come first just flat on the back. Resist the urge to bring your knees to your chest just yet. And let's come back to our windshield wipering. Okay, just knees dropping left and right. And then we're going to bring our feet right in line with each other. Lift your hips, move them right, knees up, and drop them left. Take a deep breath and let the twist melt. Deep inhales, deep exhales. Let's go ahead and lift the knees up. Scooch back to neutral. Have a breath in neutral. And then when you're ready, scooch the other way. Knees left, or hips left, knees right. Breathe your way into this twist. Remember that your breath is your gateway to just about everything. So find the breathing. Relax your head. Open the chest. And then inhale and lift your knees back up. All right, now you get to bring your knees into your chest and rock a little bit. Maybe let's do reverse pigeon pose first. So put your right foot on top of your left knee and reach and grab either your left shin or the back of your left thigh. If you're close to furniture, you can put your foot on a piece of furniture too, and that way your upper body can stay very resting. So you get to decide how you want to be in the posture. Feel free to be still or rock. Keep breathing. Let's go ahead and switch sides. So put your feet on the ground. Now our left foot comes on our right knee. Either put your right foot up on the wall or a piece of furniture, or grab behind your right thigh, interlacing your fingers, or the front of your left shin. They're both great. If you go too far on your shin and you feel like your neck lifts up, then better to grab behind the hamstring so your neck can soften. Feel free to rock. Feel free to be still. Sometimes I hold just with my right hand on my right leg, and I take my left hand on my left knee and kind of maneuver things around a little bit. So just find your way. As you're ready, 2 feet back onto the ground. Let's come into happy baby pose. Just nurture your low back. If any of the back bends we did were a little much, just feel a sense of openness here. Feel free to rock if you want, left and right. And then starfish your body open one more time, and then rest in Shavasana. So however this feels to you, if you want support under your knees or head or anything, you can even put your calves up on a chair or a couch. That's a really soothing way for your low back to be in Shavasana. So whatever you're choosing to do, let yourself be soft and relaxed. This is our opportunity for full body yielding. What does it feel to give your limbs over to the earth, to be held? Is your chest able to stay free? Is your breath steady and full? Can you melt all the places you know you hold tension? Maybe in your face, maybe in your belly, maybe in your legs, your chest, anywhere you find. Is there a way for you to melt and soften? Pay attention to the eyes and the jaw. Let them rest, the tongue, all the skull bones. Letting your body melt with the breath.
Let's begin to deepen our breathing again. Melt the heart. Come into that spacious vulnerability in your heart space. And then start to move any way that feels right. Eventually, inviting a little more, maybe if you need to wake up a bit, you can stretch your arms overhead and take a deep breath. And find your way onto your side as you're ready. Use your arms to help sit yourself up. And find your seat for a moment. See what it feels like to feel spacious in your body, in particular in your heart. To befriend this sense of yielding. Whatever is there, whatever you've gained in your practice, let's bring our hands together and offer this energy outward. Share with someone in particular in your mind, in your heart, or just let the energy spread outward to whoever needs it. Namaste. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for being
Thank
here.
you, Dee.